Welcome back to the Boys in Motion podcast. We're your hosts, Brian, Andrew, and Tyler, and this is episode 23, where we're going to give you 5 hacks to get faster at running.
The quest to get faster is something most runners obsess over. We all want to shave those seconds, minutes, or even hours off our pace. But where do we start? Today, we're here to break that down for you. Don't you worry about it.
Yeah, this is going to be 5 fast tips, even some hot takes that we each hold on how we get faster. But I do remember, like this fall, I did a block that was focused wholly on speed because I wanted to get nice and fast at that 5K. And I thought before I built that training plan that it was all about just running hard every time I laced up, going out 100%. But no. It turns out there's some smarter ways to do it. And this episode is going to be all about that. Kicking things off first, though, we've got our BIM Newsflash. We had some exciting releases in the last week. The top of the charts being a singlet drop. Andrew, what do you got in store for us?
We have a fresh printing of singlets coming out. We have medium, large, and extra large is available. We're doing a limited run just in time for the holiday season. So if you want to get your hands on one of those fresh purple BIM singlets, just send us a message on Instagram, let us know, and we'll save one for you. And we'll get it to you if you're either in Ottawa, GTA, or the Niagara region.
We already got a nice half a dozen pre-sales, I would say. Like I think we're gonna do good in this singlet drop. We're gonna have some more boys join the motion.
Yeah, I'm excited to line up at around the bay, whether it's, 5 degrees or 15 degrees, we'll see. But I look forward to hopefully being in the BIM singlet and having a few runners around me also in the BIM singlet. The three of us at the BIM 5K, we were looking really speedy. And you know what? Like the shirts are nice, but I'm in love with the singlet. Every time I put it on, it just makes me want to go fast, and it's a really great material as well. I think people will be lucky to get their hands on them for $30 because I remember I bought a Nike singlet. It's like very similar material, and that was twice the price. So this is a great way to get a good race day shirt as well.
And as a special thank you to the first 15, if we get 15 people that get the BIM singlet, you'll also get a nice BIM sticker in your pack. So if you're wanting one of those for your phone or your water bottle, let us know before all those stickers are gone. So hot off the press. But our second piece of BIM Newsflash is a big shout out to fellow BIM athlete Jacob. And I actually was just out on a run with him this morning and went for a nice training run. But Jacob has been pumping out some huge numbers as he gears up for his first big block for around the bay, and he's participating in the forbidden sport, the try. He's getting in the pool. He's turning into a little fish. He was telling me how he was spooked because his legs are sinking in the pool, and I couldn't agree more. But just huge shout out to Jacob. The consistency is just incredible. He's pumping those numbers out and is getting ready for around the bay.
That's the best news I've heard all week. Thank you for that.
Yeah, see, I'm a little spooked for the training, like indoor training season on the bike, because the numbers he's pushing out on the bike had me questioning reality and my own fitness. So I'm a little nervous. I think that the finish line just got a lot more competitive with Mark taking week 1 of the Tune Up Tuesday and now seeing Jacob putting out very spooky numbers. I think it's all up for grabs this year.
Pretty soon I'll be in Group C. Jeez Louise.
I got a very interesting email notification that somebody from the pod, a second man, had signed up for Around the Bay. I'm looking at you, Andrew. I hear you pulled the trigger.
I did. And I was hoping it would be a bit more of a surprise so I could surprise you two this week. But then I forgot that you were team captain and you got notifications. But it's official. I got my friend Albert to sign up. So I signed up with him, and there was just too many BIM athletes. I couldn't pass it up. So I'm looking forward to it.
So you're saying there's just one man's left to convince.
Got to get the Ottawa convoy on the way to Hamilton. That's really what it is.
I'm in.
So, moving on to the main topic for the episode, 5 hacks to get faster at running. We've got 5 really great tips that us, as insiders of the sport, 3 mans who have put on thousands of kilometers of running, and each of us have either nearly or have broken a 20-minute 5K. We kind of gave you some insider tips here. So, I really like the last one. I think this is the one that really unlocked the most speed. But starting off with, I think, the core and the most essential thing you need to get faster at running is to build more endurance base. This is incorporating those long zone 2 sessions, slow long duration runs into that weekly training. That's the core of your volume. Those steady low intensity runs really help build that aerobic capacity so that it can make it way easier to start sustaining those fast paces for longer duration.
Yeah, it all starts with a solid base. You need that nice solid base right at the bottom of that pyramid that Tyler always loves talking about. That is really going to be the foundation of your run training, no matter what you're going to be doing. So you really just need to up that volume of that base, and then you can start slowly chipping away at that speed.
Got to build that base, baby. Zone 2 all the way. That's the way to get quicker.
Yeah, and I think the core here is if you're looking to actually commit to a training block towards a race, is when you start actually building volume into that training block, the majority of that time should be spent doing those slower runs where your heart rate is under control, where it's kind of a 3 to 4 out of 10 in terms of the rate of perceived exertion. You really want to log easy miles so that you have the core of your fitness built on, and then you can start stacking other things on top of that, which we'll go into a little bit deeper into the episode. But really, the sport of running requires you to log a lot of hours, and a lot of those runs should be very easy once you've kind of gotten over that hurdle of consistent running.
Great point. Number 2, strengthening your core and building that stability up in your lower body, I think is crucial to getting faster. And, incorporating strength training, plyometrics, and explosiveness drills, I think really helps you get to that next level. And one thing, honestly, that I've been missing in the past couple blocks is some of those training sessions, and which is sometimes hard to get in. But I think in this winter block, I'm really focusing on trying to get some of those strengthening sessions in once, even twice a week. So I think I'm really hoping that'll help.
Yeah, from past conversations here that all of us have had running injuries in the recent past. And I think this number 2 point, to cross train and do things like strength training, plyometrics, and make sure that you're prioritizing these things as you're doing your run training, will really just bulletproof your body so that you are, one, recovering properly, getting stronger as you do more mileage, but also just build that strong foundation for being able to absorb that training without getting hurt. Because if the legs aren't strong and you're just going to get hurt, you're going to be taking steps back and you're going to be leaving speed on the table.
Totally. I think this is one of those areas where, as a dedicated runner or even a cyclist, these are the kind of workouts that have a great bang for your buck outside of the regular training and volume that you do, because it is such an important supporting activity to your main goals. So I want to be very specific. So strengthening your core and lower body is essential for runners. So this can look like actually going in and doing a weight session. It can also look like doing some sort of daily routine where you have a few exercise snacks, like doing a plank, doing some squats, doing some things like that. And when we talk about strengthening your core, what we're talking about there is really your abdomen area, but also your glutes, your hamstrings. That's all a part of that chain that allows you to really push off, have a lot of power, and better stability as you run. In addition to this, Tyler and Andrew, you both mentioned this word, plyometrics. Plyometrics will help so much with your explosiveness. And I think this, when we're talking about speed, is where it really is. This is stuff like jump squats, like box jumps and burpees. This will help improve your muscles' power and response time. There are some really great drills that you can find on YouTube. All of this cross training sort of category here will be recommended by most physiotherapists if you're looking to kind of support your running training, but also YouTube is a great place to go. You'll find some great routines, the 5-minute core video all the way up to the 1 hour mobility and strength routines. All of that will be super, super helpful. So whether it's a daily activity or something you do once a week, I can't reinforce enough how much cross training will help your speed.
You hit the nail on the head there. It's super easy to get into as well. Like you said, I literally search up, hey, 10, 15-minute mobility exercises. It gets me going into the gym, gets me started with some box jumps. I really like the skater. What do you call those? The skater jumps where you're going side to side. Helps with your, what is it called? Tibialis and everything on that exterior of your legs. I think that really helps with the stability.
Yeah, and I think this one is so important that if, let's say you have 1 hour of running 5 days a week, let's reduce that to 55 minutes. And then once you're done running, dedicate that 5 minutes, up to 2 to 5 minutes to do some quick core and quick mobility work. And taking that away from your running is totally worth it. And you'll get huge benefits continuing your training block.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Point number 3 on your hacks to get faster at running. The next one is running drills. This is something in my most recent marathon block that I did some research into, and I started building those routines at the beginning of my easy runs and also some of my speed sessions to kind of work on refining that form and helping me get faster with less energy. So there's a lot of different drills that you can do to really help improve your running capabilities.
Yeah, and these can come in various forms. It can be something pre-run where you're doing some high knees, butt kicks, skipping to just enhance that coordination and stride efficiency, doing those A, B, and C skips. But it can also be mid-run. One thing that I really love doing is doing strides on a recovery run or just kind of a general aerobic run. And where I'm not really worrying about pace, but it's really just getting the turnover of my legs and arms going and just getting that quick acceleration and then going right back down to recovery and just letting my heart rate go up and down is really great for just getting through those motions of getting speedy.
Well, the proof is in the pudding too. You see all those elite athletes, the Kenyans, the Ethiopians, they do full running warm-up drills, just, the mass amount of them just doing it all in sequence. It's kind of like a marching band. It's real nice doing those ABCs, and you stay consistent with that. I think at the beginning of your runs and even your speed sessions, it'll go a long way and mostly forgotten by the most part.
Yeah, I have an anecdote here. Last race season at the Run of the Grapes, the half marathon that I did, I got to that start line. I saw 3 people all together doing very organized, structured running drills, and I said, okay, the podium's gone. They looked so professional. So at the very least, if you're not getting faster because of it, at least you're looking good and look like a professional runner. So at least you have that.
I think the key there is also some of those runners were past Olympians. So the proof is in the pudding. The athletes at the highest level are putting this to practice. It's something that they lean on to get faster and stay faster. Another little anecdote and somebody that I've relied on for all of these running drills is an influencer and YouTuber and Olympian with the US track and field team, Shari Hawkins. You can look her up. That's Shari Hawkins. She does a lot of shorts videos on just kind of drills to get faster, like you were saying, those A skips, difference between butt kicks and high knees, all sorts of stuff like that. She's a really great resource to lean on.
Nice, yeah, that's awesome. And now let's move on to 4. And this one's also super important, and that is to prioritize recovery. And I want to put an emphasis on prioritizing active recovery because I think that's really, really where this one's at. And this can look like some recovery runs, rest days, getting those getting those Z's and getting a good sleep to make sure you maximize those long-term gains.
It's my favorite type of training right there. Maximize those Z's, baby.
Yeah, and I think like getting adequate sleep while you're training is one of the toughest things to do, in my opinion. A lot of us, we have careers that take up a lot of attention. Training is often early in the morning or late at night, and there's a bunch of other things in life that keep getting thrown your way. But trying to get consistent and good sleep is something that every athlete needs to prioritize if you're wanting to get faster, whether it's on the track or on the road. Runners need a ton of sleep because you're putting out so much energy, and the best way to have those muscles recover and get you ready for that next session, one, get those protein and carbs in, but number two is sleep like a baby.
Yeah, I think it's actually an art to try to get those sleep metrics perfected. I think it's, a nice 6-7 hours of sleep is usually what I get, but it would be really nice to get close to that 8-hour mark. I think you really find some optimal recovery just day to day, with the frequency of training we all do, even in the off season. I realize that I'm technically off season, but I'm still training almost every day. So that recovery piece is a massive portion of it.
Yeah, and from a previous episode, everyone already knows my opinion on some of the fancy recovery gear. Looking right at you, Tyler. In this one, it really is keep it simple. Don't do too much. If your body is telling you to slow down, pull back a little bit, get lots of sleep, eat lots of healthy food to make sure you fuel your next run.
For sure. And I'm starting to build the volume back up. I hit almost roughly 9 hours of volume this week. And a lot of that was at those slower type of recovery runs as I start ramping up towards a bigger block. And that helps avoid those overuse injuries, just being mindful to prioritize recovery. I'm now going to physio as I bring that volume up because, you spend most of your time recovering between sessions. So you do need to put effort in there as well, not just the workout. So now for what I think is the best tip for improving your speed at running, and that's actually incorporating speed work into your training regimen. I think we do tons and tons of lower, slower volume, but adding interval training, tempo runs to your weekly routine, even just burning with a few sprints at the end of an easier run, all of that can help increase your leg turnover, really build that higher end speed. Andrew, you're the fastest one of the bunch. What kind of speed work do you love to really push the pace?
Yeah, we've said it many times, hard days hard. And on those days, so interval training can look like, it can be those 3 to 5 minute kind of all out VO2 max efforts. And this will generally be your 5K pace down. So it's kind of good to know where you're at, and you can kind of calculate that based on previous experience, or just run as fast as you possibly can, that at the end of it, you're completely out of breath and you kind of need that minute or two after to either jog, recover, or just kind of walk it out before you can start another one. So you really want to be pushing yourself. So by the end of this interval, you are out of breath and almost could not have gone much further with it, and then take the proper rest so that the next one you can do the same thing and kind of that same speed.
Yeah, I find that very helpful. And also I find it breaks up the weak and the monogamous zone too all the time. Like getting that speed in, kind of versatile workout. It switches things up, 5x1K, 3x1 mile, even some intervals on the track. It does help.
Yeah, so one thing that you mentioned there, Andrew, was walking between sets of intervals. This is something that I try not to do, and I don't know if it's just ego and wanting to have even my off pieces at least be fast enough to post on Strava without having that clawing at the back of my head while I'm in one of these workouts. But do you what is your protocol when you're not actually in the set of a interval training, but on those off pieces?
My protocol is always, I do a super slow jog. I like to keep moving just because I find for me personally, if I stop and just kind of rest and stop my watch, my legs will get heavy. So I like that, bring it right down. I'm trying to bring my heart rate right down into zone 1. So that's kind of my goal, is bring it down to zone 1 and just go super slow. Honestly, the slower the better, because then I can smash that next interval harder, because that recovery is not what's important. So ignore the numbers there. And if you are of the mindset of, you want those nice numbers on Strava, pause your watch, do a walking lap, and then get ready to smash the next interval. And then it'll just look like you're doing 4-minute miles all day long.
That's perfect. And yeah, I think, yeah, making sure that you're going really, really easy when you're not in that piece is key. I also think the tempo run, like we talk a lot about interval when it comes to speed work, but the tempo run where you're sort of at that threshold pace is also such a key. And those were some of my favorite workouts in the marathon block, because it proved the speed that I was building throughout all the other workouts that I was doing. So tempo runs, not only are they great for building speed, but also they're a testament to the speed you've built and can help give you confidence going into your A race where you really, really want to rip it.
Yeah. One last little nugget I want to give before we get a little bit goofy, is that specificity with your speed is super important. So you want to practice speed for the event you're training for. That's super important. That's the main thing you want to get comfortable at. But then you also want to incorporate faster speed so that you get that turnover. And then by the end of your block, the speed you're training for starts to feel a little bit slow, so that on race day, you're like, oh, this is easy.
That makes a lot of sense. So basically, somebody who plans to go out and run, let's say 5 minutes a kilometer for an around the bay loop, might be best suited to run some of those tempo runs, some of those interval trainings at 440 pace, at 445, so that you're used to your legs turning over a little bit faster than you'll be doing on race day. I think that's a great point.
Yeah, it's nice, and I've done that a couple times too. Even within a workout, is you do a little piece at the beginning at like a faster pace, and then you bring in your intervals at that. You toggle into that a bit slower pace, but still like at your interval speed pace, but it's still a bit slower than that max effort. Let's say for 30 seconds. So you kind of get that higher turnover, and then you feel a bit slower on your actual pieces.
Yeah, for sure. I think, yeah, the initial out the gate is always a little bit quick on intervals, but yeah, really trying to dial in that pace, and even sometimes bringing that pace down, the average pace of each interval, as much as you can, set over set, is something else to strive for. So wrapping up those 5 hacks that we gave for speed. So 1 is run more to build your endurance base. Number 2 was cross train. That's both strengthening yourself and also relying on plyometrics for explosiveness. Number 3 was do running drills. Number 4 was prioritizing your recovery, whether that's active recovery or just getting more sleep. And then lastly, cream of the crop is all that speed work that you can do. Intervals, tempo runs, whatever it is, move those legs quick so you can get fast.
Now,
I like it.
I know everyone listening is looking for that get quick, fast tip. And this is where we're going in the next part of this podcast, is our crackhead takes for getting fast. And I can think of no one better than Tyler to tee us up. Give us your hot tip.
Well, my hot tip that I follow every single race to get faster, quick, and dirty: if you look good, you feel good, you're going to race good. All right. So you need that perfect outfit. You got to pick it out months in advance. You got to get the legs waxed, get the new shoes, nice socks, matching outfit. You could even ask Juicy for some help on that one. You get everything going your way. If you look good, you're going to feel good and you're going to race good. Like, what can I say? You got to wear this.
That was my tip, is get that lucky piece of gear and just stick with it. I'm thinking Gustav Eden with his race cap that he's never lost with. But my other one is that if you set that that reward in the distance, if you set it up of exactly what you're working towards, whether it's if I break this PR, I will get this special meal or something special, or a special pair of shoes, that will help unlock that extra gear of if you have that nice motivation, maybe you'll get something more out of yourself. It's always good to set yourself up for success.
Yeah, okay. I'm not going to be the fashion police on this one. My tip is a little bit unconventional and not something that I think everybody might agree with. But I truly believe, and I've said this before, is on those difficult speed workouts, don't be wearing carbon plated shoes. Be wearing minimal shoes so that you strengthen your legs. Make sure that that speed workout is done in shoes that aren't helping you all that much, so that when you get to race day, you feel like you're on friggin' rocket ships that are just springing you towards that finish line. Of course, train once or twice in your race shoes so that you know what it's going to feel like, and you know you're not going to get blisters, and you know the shoes are good for you. But all of those really tough speed sessions, ditch the carbon plated shoes, ditch the super shoes, straight to the poubelle for those days. Those days are meant to be hard. Throw on your old daily trainers and get those feet real strong.
You sound like Lionel on that one. You've been watching too many Lionel Sanders videos. I don't know. I want to say that I stick with those carbon plated shoes. I like the bounce. I like feeling fast, even in training days. I don't want to get rid of them.
See, and I'm the opposite. If I could friggin' add some extra weight to the shoes so that it was even tougher to do those speed workouts, I would. Throw a tire behind me, make me sprint with it. All I care about is what those metrics are when I'm racing. I don't care if my speed work days are a little bit tougher and I struggle on them and maybe I'm not hitting exactly the pace. I just want to be putting out that max effort so that when the day comes where I'm really optimized and I've tapered into it, I can hit the ground running.
Racing flats it is. Just get a pair of racing flats, and I better see you all the speed sessions, just racing flats.
Just in the Tivas, really. That's all you need for those speed days, baby.
The Tevas, they have a good bounce, a nice quarter-inch cushion on them. I like it.
Well, we were at the Corners Run crew here in Niagara, and it was like maybe 5 degrees outside. It was a nice day, but it was chilly enough. But there was a man who was just running straight tees, no socks for the 8K that we ended up doing. So, people are listening. People are listening.
That's nice. He saw that picture of us running after the BIM bike ride, and he was inspired. He thought it was the shoe. He thought we were announcing the shoe of the year.
So those are some good takes. I like them all. I think all of them could be used to make you a little bit faster at your main event. But another question that has come up from some BIM athletes, because the Around the Bay, the last third of that race is quite hilly, and people were asking, what is more effective for building speed? Hill repeats or flat sprints? What do you guys think?
A hot debate.
For me, this one definitely comes down to specificity. It depends what kind of race you're going to be doing. Looking at that elevation profile of Around the Bay, I was a bit spooked. It's nice and flat, but then after about 15K, it gets not so flat. There's about 200 meters of elevation. So if you're looking for speed on a course like that, you gotta get those hill repeats, get those strong legs, and get used to going up hills to mix in to get those nice strong legs.
I will have to agree. I think it depends on your race profile, and when in doubt, hill it out. Just get on those hills and start doing some hill repeats. I think either way, those will get your booty nice and big, and you'll get going.
Yeah, I think both are good. Another tip, if you are in a place where there's not a lot of hills, not too much like that, do your speed intervals and sprints into the wind on windy days. It'll give you that same kind of resistance. But I think, yeah, a balance of both is good. But there's nothing like a flat track session when you want to rip some really good times. That's always a very fun workout. And hill repeats can, be a bit gruesome, but they'll definitely help you on race day.
Another curveball to add to this topic. What about stairs? I've done a couple of years of stairs weekly, and I actually think it really helps my VO2 max and the posterior chain of my legs. I'm actually thinking of reincorporating that this winter, getting some stair intervals in there.
Yeah, I like it. I actually, with the recent move, I'm a lot closer to Casa Loma now. So I think for this block, I might incorporate maybe not stairs like as workouts, but I think I might incorporate some up and down stairs, even just on like easy days, just taking it going up and down, getting some elevation even on those easy days, just to get it in because I'm a flatlander, so I got to get that elevation.
Allergic to those hills, baby.
So I just put the bike for the last time on the trainer because we just had the last group ride of the year. But let me tell you, it was a chaotic one in some good ways, but also some bad ways. So let's go through the list of casualties to start. So first off, and I'm going to try to go through this in chronological order. So yes, first off, at about the 40-kilometer mark, Mr. Michael takes a spill on a descent going through Balls Falls and slides essentially through one full lane of road, coming out of a descent on a turn with a little bit of gravel. He washed out his back wheel and went straight into the ditch and nearly hit a wooden fence. It was wild. I'd never seen a fall like that. He looked like a professional rider falling. And it was just yeah, it was a crazy, crazy fall. Luckily, he was okay. His leggings were not. They're completely like cut through. And he's got some pretty good road rash, but the bike is good. And overall, the body is as good as you could ever wish for a fall like that at over 40 kilometers an hour.
Why? I can't believe you just dropped.
Was anyone behind him, or was he the last man?
No, so he was actually, I believe, leading the four of us. So it was myself, Adam, Mark, and Mike. And I think
This gets worse.
Mike and Adam were up ahead. I think Mike might have been ahead. And I think he braked a little going down that descent to make the corner and just washed that back wheel out and then immediately down. Luckily, he kind of was on the juicy part of his leg and then kind of rolled onto his back. It looked like he had been practicing how to fall off his bike because overall it was a successful fall, I will say.
That is wild.
Yeah.
Do you think he like was just he hit gravel and the back wheel came out on him like?
Yeah, I think it was like a combination of a lot of centripetal force trying to rip away at his bike, and then also a tiny bit of gravel while he was on the brakes a little potentially. I wasn't steering his bike, but
Yeah.
it's kind of what it looked like. And then just boom, the tire slipped out from under him, and it's game over at that point.
Him in railroad tracks now turns onto downhill. I don't know.
Oh, for frig. Well, don't get me started with railroad tracks. Okay, you want to hear about railroad tracks? I'm staring at a carbon rim that is broken now because with less than 1 kilometer left on the ride, Mark and I just uncoordinated go to try to do a sprint segment about 1 kilometer very close to my home, and there's railroad tracks halfway through the segment, and there was a car on the one side who had kind of like stopped or was going like 20 kilometers an hour, so we had to zoom around them because we're going like 50 something. And I nailed the tracks so hard that it didn't even pop the tire. It just snapped the carbon rim near where the brakes would rub. And so I'm either staring at a very technical repair. I've contacted the shop in Oakville that can hopefully address that. Or I'm going to be buying a new set of carbon rims, which, let's just say, aren't the cheapest things.
And was it like a loud, as you went over, like it was very obvious something happened, like it was a loud crack?
Yeah, I knew immediately, like heart just sank. I took the power right off the bike, tried to brake and slow down a little bit, and I could feel the brake rubbing for the rest of the ride home. So yeah, it was not just it was spooky, and it was a loud bang when it hit.
Chaotic ride is to say the least on that. Jeez.
And then for the last piece of chaos was immediately when we got home, Adam fell right off his bike onto the gravel because he was totally depleted and fully bonked out. The poor man has been suffering with a pneumonia for the last like month or so and hadn't really been on the bike, and we were just ripping. I think we would have averaged about 33 kilometers an hour without some of those chaotic happenings and a little bit of bonking at the end by Adam. But yeah, it was a ride that was very atypical because it wasn't as successful as every other ride we had this year.
That's just, yeah, crazy chaos. Yeah, I've been on some of the chaotic BIM rides where there's some pop tires, but this one definitely takes the cake as far as top chaos ride of the season. Jeez,
For sure.
glad everyone's okay, and most of the bikes are still in one piece. So
And that's exactly it. I think we're ready for the winter season after that. The roads need a little bit of recovery before we hit them again hard in the spring. But yeah, it was fun, but for some, it costs some skin. For others, it'll cost some money.
good thing is, the coming up winter training season, you only need one wheel, so you're all set.
Exactly. Now talking winter season, what's that spring schedule looking like with all the work that we're going to be doing over the winter?
Right,
Yeah.
might be a speedy spring. Let me hear it.
Yeah, I think I'm slowly starting to come out of hibernation, and it all started with what the boys were chatting about before is I have Around the Bay on my schedule as a tune-up. We will be doing a BIM 5K in the spring, unknown date yet, but that will also be a tune-up. And then I think it's not booked yet, but I think I'm going to be doing the Toronto Marathon on May 4th. That will be my big A race. The organization of that race isn't amazing, which is one of the big cons, but the course is great. It's super speedy and it's super scenic. And there is a little bit of, out of the ones I was going for, the faster of the competition. So I think that's what I'm leaning towards for my A race in the spring. How about you, Brian?
Yeah, so like yourself, I'm eyeing up Around the Bay. I'm not sure if I will be a pace bunny for the Rascal or if I'll be running it for myself. That's TBD. I am looking forward to running a lot this winter with the Rascal. She's putting in really good miles. We're building some of that base training, and it's looking to be successful. VO2 max is increased at average heart rate every run is dropping steadily. So it seems like it's going well. So that's for the runs, certainly what I'm aiming for. And then I would like to see a cycling race added to the calendar, whether it's a criterium or a road race, something with some of the BIM boys. We were chatting just last night, and we're all hopeful to put some good training in on the bike so that we can race together in the spring. What about you, Ty?
Jeez, keep me posted on that. I might like that. Maybe not a crit, but a nice road race would be nice. For me, I think you guys are in my ear for Around the Bay. I was just checking out the race profile there. I think I might have to pull trigger, TBD on that one. Get a nice crew out there. We'll see. I'm thinking of also pacing Charlie and in one of his ultras. He's trying to do the 100-mile at Sulphur Springs in, what is that, Ancaster, Hamilton area. So waiting for details on that. I think it's end of May, so might have a speedy half marathon early in between both of those as well. So might follow Andrew's lead on some race coming up. So we'll see.
Love it. Toronto Marathon does happen to be right in the middle, so it's kind of convenient.
I'm trying to get that sub 90. I'm chasing that sub 90. I got to get some more speed in me.
Yeah, it seems there's lots to look forward to and lots to keep training for.
Yeah, and before I really get my winter training block underway, I have a big gear scoop update.
Whoa, wait, what? Big gear scoop update.
You've not heard anything about this, have you?
No, have you?
Nope.
All right, consider this my first safety check, Tyler. I'm all set for the winter training. I've scooped this, a nice high-vis vest with a blinking light on the front
Approved.
and a blinking light on the back.
Wow.
So I am all ready for some speedy winter training.
Ooh, and safe. Speedy and safe. I like that. Congrats.
Extremely safe. So all the listeners, you can know and be sure that I will be safe doing my winter training on these dark streets.
Can you tell us a little bit about that vest? What did it cost you? How did you acquire it?
Yeah, so Brian chatted about his safety gear pickup that was a bit more of a high end. And I decided I wanted to try a super budget to see how it was and how it lasted. So I actually scooped this on AliExpress for $10. So this has the two rechargeable lights front and back. There was also some that were like $2, $3 that were just the reflective. But I decided to do this so that we can do a bit of a comparison of kind of higher end versus a budget pick if you're trying to pinch those pennies.
Perfect.
I can tell you I'm jealous of that already because my pickup, the Nox Gear vests, were a headache. They were in USD, they were expensive, and I had to pay duty on them when I went to pick them up from the post office. So overall, I think you're way in the lead. That's a beautiful vest, and it looks very, very safe.
I have a bootleg version of Andy's that I might have to pull it out. It's real nice. It's just the high vis straps, okay? And I put what do you call those? A zip tie around the bottom, and I have a bike light on the zip tie. So that's a little bootleg.
Hey, as long as you're safe, us and the listeners are happy.
Gotta love it. And I'm doing my laundry.
Love it. Well, I want a picture evidence of that with Juicy looking happy beside your nice pile of clean laundry.
I could get up right now, but I don't think that would be PG-13. But I have a rack right out there, all the laundry waiting to dry.
Love it. Love it. And then, Brian, the next time you do a nice long run, we got to see that route planning. Once the snow starts falling, we got to see that route planning of how you're managing those country roads.
Well, I would say like Roscoe and I did a Saturday long run, 8K together, and we took some of the country roads, and I was able to run right in the middle of the road for about 90% of the run. It was immaculate. So I think part of country running is just picking the times where there's not a lot of cars going down, and picking the right roads as well, where there's not a lot of traffic.
Country road, take me home. I like the sound of that.
Love it. Now that we got our safety check, our laundry check, and our route check, I think we're going to wrap it up. And thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Boys in Motion podcast. And we hope these tips give you that extra edge in your running goals, whether you're racing or just aiming to set a new PR.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Join our Strava club for more awesome content. Make sure that you also subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts so that you can keep up to date with all of our happenings.
And remember, of course, remember, we're just here sharing what works with us and our community. And we look good doing it. But always consult a coach or a healthcare provider if you're actually going to start being a crackhead and going out every day and having fun.
Stay motivated, keep putting in that speed work, and we'll see you out there. Catch you next time on the Boys in Motion.